The silence before a storm has a sound of its own. The kind that tightens your chest and makes every second feel heavier than the last. In that moment, every breath becomes a decision, every movement a risk. The lights flicker across cold metal walls, the air thick with tension, and somewhere in the shadows, a plan is already in motion. Tonight, a trap is being built, not out of fear, but out of precision, because in the world of all the Queen's men, control isn't given, it's taken. The warehouse stands quiet at the edge of the city, hidden behind the hum of streetlights and the slow buzz of midnight. Inside, the space is stripped bare, just concrete, metal, and the echo of footsteps that never linger too long. This isn't just a place, it's a stage. Every box, every cable, every shadow is part of a design that only one person understands. The Queen. Her plan is simple, yet deadly. Set the bait, wait for the strike, make sure the bullet never finds the wrong target. In the far corner, a small team moves with purpose. No words, only gestures. One checks the gear, another measures the distance between steel plates. They're not just setting a trap, they're creating a sanctuary of control, a space where chaos bends to their will. A bullet trap, it sounds simple, but here it's something more. It's strategy dressed in silence. Every line drawn on the floor marks a possibility. Every angle measured is a future rewritten. The Queen doesn't build traps out of panic, she builds them out of prediction. She studies the enemy's patterns, their fears, their pride. She knows they'll come, and she knows exactly when. The world outside may think this is about revenge, but for her, it's about balance. Every threat, every betrayal, every move on the board must be answered with precision. And tonight, her answer is being welded together in the dark. The smell of oil and steel fills the air. Sparks flicker from a welding torch like brief bursts of lightning, painting the space with light that fades too fast. A hand tightens a bolt, another tests the lock on a reinforced wall. The team moves like clockwork. No hesitation, no wasted motion. They've done this before. Maybe not here, maybe not like this, but the rhythm is familiar. The rhythm of preparation, but under all that focus, there's something unspoken tension. Not fear, but the kind that comes from knowing what's at stake. One wrong angle, one misstep, and the trap could fail. And failure here doesn't mean starting over. It means someone doesn't walk out. So they move carefully, with that quiet urgency that only people who've danced with danger truly understand. Outside, the night grows colder. A thin layer of mist rolls across the ground, wrapping around the warehouse like a secret. From a distance, it looks abandoned, just another forgotten space in a city that never stops hiding things. But inside, the Queen's mind is already 10 steps ahead. The trap isn't just about bullets, it's about choices. She's setting a stage where her enemy will make the only choice she allows to step right into her plan. There's no rush. The Queen never rushes. Every second counts, but every second belongs to her. The calm before the storm isn't a pause, it's her breathing space. The proof that power isn't loud. It's quiet. It's knowing exactly when to move and when to wait. And right now, as the last bolt tightens and the final piece clicks into place, that power is building, steady and sharp. Somewhere far from the warehouse, a car engine cuts through the night. A message has already been sent. The enemy is on the move. But they don't know, they're not walking into a fight. They're walking into a masterpiece, a bullet trap. And once they step inside, the Queen won't need to lift a weapon. The room itself will decide their fate. No one knows who designed the plan. Some say it came to her in silence, a thought that grew sharper with every betrayal. Others say she's been planning it for months, long before anyone realized they were already part of her game. What's certain is this. By the time the pieces began to move, the Queen had already won. The mission was never about confrontation. It was about control. Control over time, over space, over fear itself. Inside the dim warehouse, blueprints cover the table like a map of war. Lines, arrows, and scribbles cross each other in ways only one mind can understand. The bullet trap isn't a cage, it's a mirror. It reflects everything that's wrong with her enemies: arrogance, impatience, ego. She knows they'll come charging in, convinced they're hunters. She knows they'll think she's cornered. That's exactly what she wants. Because the trap only works when the prey believes they're in control. Her voice echoes in memory, calm, certain, almost gentle. Never let them see your hand until it's too late. That's her rule. Every mission she runs begins with deception wrapped in elegance. Her men follow her words like scripture, not because they fear her, but because she's never wrong. When the Queen draws a plan, she draws it with the precision of someone who's lost before and refused to lose again. The briefing doesn't happen in a conference room. It happens in fragments, whispered calls, coded notes, glances exchanged across crowded rooms. Every instruction is layered. A simple order hides a deeper meaning. Seal the north corridor means more than blocking an exit. It means control the light, control the angle, control the shot. Every wall, every corner becomes part of a dance choreographed to perfection. No one dares question her logic, not because they don't want to, but because her plans always unfold like prophecy. She predicts reactions before they happen. She uses human behavior as her weapon: impatience, greed, revenge. Where others see emotions as weakness, she turns them into strategy. The bullet trap isn't just meant to catch a bullet, it's meant to catch a mistake. And in this world, one mistake is all it takes. As the team studies the layout, silence sits heavy in the air. They know the target: a man who betrayed her trust, sold her name for money and protection. But protection doesn't last long in her world. Sooner or later, debts are paid one way or another. And tonight, his payment is due. She doesn't need to be there in person. Her presence exists in every angle of the room. Every plan drawn in ink and steel. Outside, rain begins to fall slow. Deliberate drops against metal. Each sound feels like a countdown. The Queen's team moves again, adjusting the setup, tightening screws, recalibrating triggers. It's not enough to build a trap. It has to be invisible. The enemy must step in willingly, never realizing the walls are closing until it's far too late. That's the beauty of her design, not in force, but in foresight. She once said, "A plan without patience is just noise." Her words repeat in the mind of her right-hand man as he checks the sensors one last time. Patience. That's what sets her apart. She doesn't chase power, she waits for it to come to her. Every ruler who lasts understands that waiting is an act of strength. And in this silence, in this warehouse, surrounded by steel and secrets, patience feels like pressure, ready to break. The final stage of the briefing is not spoken, it's understood. When the enemy walks in, no one shoots first. The Queen believes in making her message clear. Every trap she sets carries a lesson. Some learn it and live, others don't, but either way, they understand crossing her comes with consequences written in lead. The clock on the wall ticks once, steady and cold. The sound cuts through the tension like a heartbeat. One of her men looks up, the faintest trace of unease in his eyes. "He'll come," another says. "He always does." And somewhere, as if carried by the wind, her voice replies in memory, soft, deliberate, unshakable. "That's why we build the trap, not to catch him, but to remind him who sets the rules." Every bullet is marked, every path calculated. There are no accidents here. When the mission begins, there will be no second chances, no warnings, just movement, fast, precise, silent. The Queen doesn't play for revenge. She plays for balance. Her mission isn't about blood. It's about restoring order in a world that forgot who its ruler is. And as the last light flickers across the metal walls, one truth settles like dust in the air. The Queen doesn't need a crown to command fear. She only needs a plan. The night doesn't rush. It unfolds. The warehouse sits like a sleeping giant, its walls breathing in rhythm with the storm outside. The Queen's team moves quietly through the space, each step measured, each sound swallowed by the rain. This isn't chaos, this is choreography. Every person knows their role. Every inch of the room has a purpose. What looks like emptiness is design. What feels like silence is control. The trap begins as nothing more than an idea, a pattern drawn in the Queen's mind, then transferred to paper, then to steel. She sees things no one else does: the way shadows fall, the way sound bounces, how fear changes a man's movement. To her, every environment is a puzzle, and she's the one holding the final piece. When she sets a trap, it's not to destroy, it's to teach. Her enemies think they're walking into a gunfight, but what they're really walking into is a lesson about power. In the center of the warehouse, a single chair stands beneath the hanging light. Around it, the air feels heavier, thicker. The team works around it, laying down pressure sensors beneath the floor, wiring circuits along the walls. They move like surgeons, steady hands, steady breath. A mistake here isn't just failure, it's death. But there's no fear in their movements, only focus. They've done this before. They've learned that the Queen's traps don't fail, people do. A thin layer of smoke drifts from the welding torch as the last steel plate slides into place. The walls are designed to absorb sound, to hide echoes, to make the intruder feel alone even when they're being watched. The bullet trap isn't just physical, it's psychological. The room will talk to the intruder long before anyone else does. The flicker of a light, the creak of a door, the soft hum of machinery behind the walls. Every noise calculated to feed a single thought, I'm not safe. That's how the queen wins, not with bullets, but with anticipation. She understands something most people don't. Fear doesn't start when the gun goes off. It starts the moment someone realizes they've lost control. And that's what this trap is built to do. Strip control away inch by inch until surrender feels like relief. Outside, lightning flashes against the sky, illuminating the warehouse for a brief second. The metal gleams, the rain dances on the roof, and the team moves faster now. The sensors light up in sequence, one by one, like stars aligning in the dark. The air hums faintly with electricity. It's almost beautiful, this perfect balance of danger and design. The queen's voice echoes through a memory recorder, guiding the final steps of the setup. Every trap has 2 doors, she once said. One for them, one for us. Make sure only one opens. Her men know what she means. The exit routes are already mapped. Hers are silent and invisible. Theirs lead straight into the line of fire. She never builds a maze she can't escape. That's why she always survives. One of her soldiers, the youngest, pauses for a moment. He looks around the room, at the shadows, the steel, the wires. How does she think of all this? He whispers. The older man next to him smiles. Faintly. She doesn't think, he says. She remembers. That's the truth behind her genius. Every trap she builds is born from something she's lived. A betrayal, a loss, a lesson written in pain. She doesn't design for glory. She designs to make sure it never happens again. The room is almost ready. The team retreats to the outer perimeter, checking the monitors. Cameras blink to life, showing every angle, every corner. The trap hums quietly, alive now, waiting. Somewhere in the distance, an engine roars closer. The sound cuts through the storm like a warning, but it's not for her. It's for him. The one who's coming. The one who still thinks this is his move. Inside, everything slows down. The lights dim. The rain softens. The queen's presence lingers not in body, but in design. Every inch of the warehouse feels like her gaze. Her plan has shape now. It breathes. It listens. It's ready. The bullet trap isn't about bullets anymore. It's about inevitability. In a few minutes, the doors will open. He'll step in, unaware that the space is already studying him. The sensors will read his movement. The walls will echo his steps. And when he reaches that chair under the single light, he'll understand he never stood a chance. The queen didn't need to aim. She only needed to prepare. The warehouse hums with energy. The team waits in the shadows, their breath steady, their eyes fixed on the entrance. The rain slows, then stops. The world holds its breath, and in that stillness, the trap becomes something more than steel and wires. It becomes prophecy. A design so precise it could only have come from one mind. A mind that sees the future not as something to predict, but something to build. And somewhere, far from the warehouse, the queen sits in silence, eyes closed, listening to the storm fade. She doesn't need to watch. She already knows how this story ends. Because in her world, the game is never about who pulls the trigger. It's about who set the stage. The world goes still. The storm that had screamed against the warehouse roof quiets into a whisper, as if nature itself senses what's about to happen. The air hangs thick, a tension that clings to the skin like humidity before lightning. The trap is ready. The room isn't just silent. It's expectant. Somewhere within that stillness, footsteps approach, slow, cautious, but confident. The sound of someone who believes they're walking into victory. The man enters through the rusted door, pushing it open with the arrogance of someone who's escaped too many close calls. His boots echo against the concrete, a sharp rhythm that cuts through the dark. He pauses just inside, scanning the shadows. The single hanging light hums overhead, swinging slightly, casting thin waves of brightness across the floor. He sees the chair beneath it, centered, deliberate, almost inviting. He smiles. The smile of a man who thinks he's found his target. He doesn't realize that from the moment he stepped inside, the game was already over. Every sound he makes feeds into sensors hidden beneath the floor. Every motion he takes reflects off glass lenses buried in the walls. The trap isn't waiting for him to fire a gun. It's studying him, learning his rhythm, timing his pulse. The queen doesn't need to be here. The room is her. He walks forward, slow and steady. The lights flicker once. He doesn't notice the pattern, 3 short, 1 long, a signal to those hidden in the dark. The team is watching from the control room, eyes fixed on the monitors. They don't speak. They don't breathe loud. The queen's voice echoes in their heads like scripture. Patience isn't silence. It's control disguised as calm. The intruder circles the chair, his hand brushing against it. The sound echoes louder than it should. The silence stretches until it feels like it might snap. He turns toward the wall, and that's when it happens. A faint metallic click. Just one. But in that quiet, it sounds like thunder. His body tenses. He looks around sharply. Nothing moves. But the air has changed. He takes another step. The floor beneath him shifts almost imperceptibly. A pressure plate registers his weight, sending a silent signal through the wires. In the control room, a red light blinks once, then holds steady. The team knows what that means. The target is in the kill zone. Inside, the man senses something wrong, but he can't see it. The walls are still. The light above him buzzes faintly, flickering again. He raises his weapon, turning in slow circles, trying to read the dark. His breath quickens. Fear creeps in at the edges, subtle at first, then sharper. The sound of his own breathing fills the room. That's the moment the Queen designed this for. The precise second when confidence turns to panic. He fires once into the dark. The shot slams into the wall, ricochets off reinforced plating, and vanishes into silence. The echo doesn't return. The bullet is swallowed whole. He doesn't understand yet, but he's already trapped inside a perfect storm of sound and physics. Every bullet he fires will be absorbed, redirected, nullified. The room itself eats aggression. It turns violence into nothingness. In another time, another place, the Queen might have been there to watch, but she doesn't need to now. This isn't about witnessing the fall. It's about orchestrating it. She knows he'll exhaust himself before he ever sees what's coming. The trap doesn't kill immediately. It waits. It lets the enemy's own choices close the circle. The man steps back, sweat rolling down his temple. His weapon shakes slightly. The silence feels louder now, almost screaming in his ears. He shouts, "Come out!" But the words crumble against the walls. The warehouse doesn't answer. It just watches. A faint whir starts from above, a mechanism, waking. The hanging light steadies, its swing freezing midair. A second later, another bulb flares to life at the far end of the room. Then another, and another, until the entire space glows in a harsh, artificial white. The man squints blinded for a second, and that's when he sees it. The walls around him aren't plain metal. They're layered, angled, each section reflecting light inwards. Trapping him visually as well as physically, he spins, but every direction looks the same, blinding light, endless reflections, no exit. The sound of his own breath bounces back at him, multiplied, distorted, until it feels like he's surrounded by invisible ghosts. That's the Queen's true design, not to shoot her enemies, but to make them face themselves. To make them realize they've already lost, long before the trigger is ever pulled. The man drops his weapon. The sound of metal hitting the floor echoes and fades. For the first time, he whispers her name, not out of defiance, but out of recognition. He finally understands. This isn't vengeance. This is judgment. Somewhere miles away, the Queen sits in silence. A faint smile touching her lips as she listens to the distant hum of machinery through a communicator. The mission is complete. The trap has done its work. The lesson has been delivered in the warehouse. The lights begin to dim, one by one, leaving the man alone again in the dark. The storm outside starts up once more, as if reclaiming the night. The walls fall silent. The sensors power down. Nothing moves. Nothing breathes. The Queen's message lingers in the air, quiet, invisible, absolute. Power doesn't fire first. Power waits for you to walk into it. The trap holds its silence, keeping its secrets. Tomorrow, the world will move on, unaware of what happened here. But for those who know the Queen's game, one truth will echo louder than any gunfire in her world. The bullet isn't the weapon. The plan is,